Cyberbullying is more than just words on a screen. It is dangerous, very dangerous. And the problem is growing right across our country, especially among school children. More than a quarter of them will suffer from it. Just recently, we saw one very sad example, the death of a 14-year-old girl, Dolly Everett. That death came after a very nasty episode of bullying, and her loss ripped her family and friends apart. Well, this morning, we are investigating cyberbullying and finding out how to deal with it and how we can protect our children. Katrina Kavanagh is CEO and founder of Kindness on Purpose, a very important program designed for school children, and she joins us now. Katrina, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hello.
Hi.
This is such an important topic, and I was reading before you say it's not going to happen to your children. It's a matter of if, not when.
Correct. So at the moment, for example, we have between Year 6, the age of Year 6, and I've got a daughter going into Year 6, and Year 12, 46% of our young women are actually being cyberbullied right now.
Gosh. I have no doubt that that is true. I have and I'm certainly under no illusions to how dangerous it can be. But how do you actually stop it when the reach is so limitless, when often your child is not even going to tell you that it's happening? How do you actually put an end to it?
Well, look, there are a few things you can do. You need to educate your children about what it is. So first of all, one of the key things we need to do is tell our children about how the brain works. And if we can do that, then they'll understand that there's a part of the brain that's not yet developed for the bullies themselves, and that is why they are more easily able to bully.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you need to, yes, it's really interesting that. So one of the key things we talk about with Kindness on Purpose is all about teaching your kids how to keep themselves emotionally safe. So that's called emotional coaching. So
how do you do that then? Say, for example, my daughter is 11.
Yes.
What does that mean for an 11-year-old?
Right. Well, I have a daughter who's 11 too. So the key thing with emotional coaching is teach them that, yes, they're going to have feelings. So when they're being bullied, they are going to have an emotional response to that. Then what they need to do, they need to learn how to be able to look after their feelings. And it's actually really simple. The reason why children and adolescents get overwhelmed when they're bullied is because the feelings feel too big and they feel like they're getting out of control.
Is it what we used to call resilience, or being able to sort of not take it to heart?
Well, if you have the skills to look after your feelings, then therefore you will have resilience.
But you rarely have the skills to look after your feelings when you're a child.
Exactly.
And there's not only the bully, there's also the victim.
Yes.
What makes a victim? It seems to me that the victim is often targeted again and again.
That's right, and I think there's a lot of things that contribute to that. One of course, your sense of self and self-esteem. I think once you've been targeted already, then it's likely that you may be targeted again. But the key thing here is we can teach our children to know what their feelings are, know where they're feeling their feelings in their body, have some actual techniques that they can use to look after their feelings, and know that they can feel okay again.
And that goes into your third point, which is to keep talking about it.
Absolutely, yes.
And to be honest. There's no shame in being bullied?
No, there's no shame in being bullied. And to talk, for parents and carers, we need to keep talking to our children all the time. And also, we need to be honest about our feelings and our fears. We need to say, look, I'm an adult, I'm a parent, I'm not perfect, and I'm actually really, really worried. And so because I'm really worried, I want to keep talking to you. And even if you don't want to talk to me, you know, teenagers are notorious for being shut down and doing the grunts and It doesn't matter, you keep talking. I've got clients that I work with who are in their 30s and 40s, and they tell me that when their parents used to speak to them when they were younger, even though they weren't listening, they were listening and they were taking it in. So talking is really important.
You also say there that blocking doesn't always work.
No, look,
but it's a good start, isn't it?
Look, it is. It's a reasonable start, but it's the same as, you know, saying to a child, just walk away. When when you're being bullied in the playground, just walk away. We all know, no, because the bully will follow. So whether it's blocking or walking away, we need to teach our children some better skills, ways of looking after their feelings. That's actually the key.
How do you work these techniques? How do you teach your children to have those skills? What do you mean by that?
It's really simple. There are 3 or 4 key steps. The first one is you teach them to identify what are they feeling. Am I feeling heavy or light? Okay, where am I feeling those feelings in my body? If I'm feeling heavy, am I feeling heavy in my head, in my chest, in my belly and my back? Once I know where I'm feeling heavy, I can then use my senses to then look after those feelings. If I'm feeling heavy in my chest or my belly, I can put a hot pack on there. I can, I can put, I can drink a nice relaxing tea to help settle my tummy. There are things we can do to look after our body.
To bring that under control, that feeling, so it doesn't overwhelm
and
you.
Yes, because at the point of being overwhelmed, that's when suicide becomes an option. So if we can actually access our children and our teenagers at that point before they become overwhelmed, if we can teach them those skills, and that's what I'm doing with Kindness on Purpose right through, right from kindy right through to year 12. That's how we make a difference.
And obviously, as you've been saying, cyberbullies can be very vicious, incredibly
Yes.
dangerous, and you have advice for parents on what they should not do.
Yes.
Take us through some of those points.
Yes. So one of the things that parents should not do is actually they should not talk about it. That's the first point. Okay, it's really, really critical that they don't not talk about it.
Yep.
Okay. The second thing is it's really important to not say just go and be resilient. Okay.
Yep.
Because if you ask them to be resilient, but you don't give them those tools and those strategies, then they won't know.
Well, what
They
does
don't
it
know
mean?
what
Yeah.
does
It's
it
a
mean?
word
And it's a
unless you
word
know.
that's
Yep.
bandied around a lot,
And they'll feel helpless.
Absolutely. And look, restricting time on devices is fantastic, but telling your young people to get off their devices, it's not realistic. This is the way that our young people do socialise in this way. They're going
That's
to
right.
go
It's
to...
like saying, well, don't leave the house.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And we're on our devices as well. So
We are on our devices all the time, Jessica. Yes, we are, ourselves. We need to work on ourselves.
Yeah.
So...
and don't blame the victim as well.
Certainly not. Let's not blame the victim. I mean, blaming the victim, I see that often, sometimes in schools, I hear teachers actually saying, well, look, if your child was only a little bit more resilient, don't get me started. don't get me started on that. Then this wouldn't be happening to your child. No. We need to put a structure of safety around the children that are being bullied. We need to work with the bullies who are doing the bullying. We need to increase their empathy, which is very possible. When we increase their empathy, we decrease the incidence of bullying.
Can I ask a question though?
Yes.
Is it impossible? Do you think that lack of empathy or consideration from others often comes from the parents?
It can happen. Look, I've been doing this work for over 20 years as a therapist, and I have worked with people who hurt people. That's what you do as a therapist. I've worked with domestic violence perpetrators, children who hurt other children, relationship issues, or people who hurt themselves. So I know that when I work with my clients, that if I can increase their empathy, which is possible, I've been doing it, okay, you can decrease the bullying. You can decrease that person's capacity to hurt another person. It absolutely can work. And with children and young people, they're really, that you would be surprised, they are open for it. I mean, I'm working with some of the toughest kids and they are open to it.
And when you say the kids are open for it, what do you do if you're a parent and you hear that your child is the bully?
Yes. Well, the first thing you need to do is be open and honest, don't you? And say, look, the reality is that that my child is actually a bully. The critical thing you need to be doing, like I've already said, is to build up empathy with that child of yours. So to acknowledge that, okay, my child might have a lack of empathy, and we need to do that. So we need to...
Wouldn't you tell that child that she couldn't bully?
You certainly do. You need to put a structure and have boundaries around it, absolutely. But certainly we need to really increase their empathy. So we need to get them doing things like being kind on purpose. And then not only being kind, but then getting them connected to how their acts of kindness actually impacts on the feelings of others. When we do that, we're laying new neurological pathways in their brain, we're changing the way, we're changing their behaviour, we're changing their belief system, and we're showing them that they have the capacity to affect others in a positive or negative way.
So we know what to do now once it's happening, but how do you actually... The last piece of the puzzle, how do we know that it's happening? What are the warning signs if your child is being bullied?
Okay. Look, I think some of the warning signs are really obvious and some not so much. So warning signs include, obviously, a change in their demeanour. When people are distressed, they will either explode with their behaviour, so you'll see more angry outbursts, you'll see, perhaps more crying, or they'll implode, they'll retreat, they'll go back within themselves, they'll be in their room more, those kinds of things. You may find them distancing themselves from other friends. And that's why, and you may see anxiety and depression. We know that children and adolescents who are bullied are 3 times more likely to experience depression and 9 times more likely to feel suicidal or attempt suicide. So we're looking for those kind of signs as well. This is about saving lives, actually.
It is, and that's
God
why
help
it's
us
an
all.
important discussion. We'll have you back on Studio 10 because we want to talk more about this. This is such an important topic.
It would be great to be here. It is an
Yeah.
important topic.
Thanks very much.
And
Katrina.
if you or anyone you know wants to reach out for help, there are some wonderful organisations you can reach out to, including the Kids Helpline. That number is 1800 551 800. As well, Beyond Blue, that's another wonderful organisation on 1300 224 636. And to find out more about Kindness on Purpose, gosh, kindness can go a long way, you can go to the movement's Facebook page. Katrina, thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thank you.